This Libra new moon solar eclipse on October 2nd, 2024 is the beginning of the end of a phase. And as we're going to see, Mars and Pluto is going to be defining how we make that exit. So there's a lot going on with this solar eclipse. Not only is an eclipse a big deal anyway, and its energies last 6 months, but it's also conjunct with several other very powerful influences, which are the South Node at 6 degrees in Libra, Mercury at 11 degrees in Libra, and then we have Black Moon Lilith that's in a perfect conjunction with this eclipse at 10 degrees in Libra. So all of that being said, Black Moon Lilith, I don't really talk a whole lot about in these videos, but she plays a really pivotal role in this eclipse season. Black Moon Lilith represents the parts of ourselves that are a bit more hidden or that we don't really want to deal with, both collectively as well as individually. And so she represents the subconscious, our fears, our shadows, the parts of us that we may not really want to have shown to other people, and we may not even want to look at ourselves. So, of course, that doesn't sound like a fun energy to deal with, right? But this particular eclipse is going to be a very cleansing eclipse. It's almost like a cleansing by fire because Mars is playing is almost like a referee. So Mars is squaring all of this at 15 degrees in Cancer. But Mars is also part of a grand trine in Cancer that is with Venus that's in Scorpio and Saturn that's in Pisces. So a square is a challenging aspect, and a trine is a supportive or harmonious aspect. A square, I would like to say, is like activating, where it applies pressure where needed in order to create the challenges that are necessary for growth, for expansion, and for, even for creating movement. Without any friction, there is no movement. And the trines are what allows us to have enough fluidity so that there isn't so much friction that we end up stopping completely. We have Venus that is then in Scorpio, which is then ruled by Pluto. So you can see how Mars and Pluto are really the defining energies that are hanging out with Venus, essentially, hanging out with that Libran energy of Venus and saying, okay, now that you know what it is that you need to do in order to move towards the North Node of Aries, which again is ruled by Mars, what are you going to do about it? So Mars is playing referee. Mars is asking us to choose between our fears, which is represented by Black Moon Lilith. Eclipses always come in pairs. So the lunar eclipse that happened in Pisces was giving us a bit of a sneak peek of potentially what is available when these north and south nodes start shifting again. And when they shift, they are going to shift in a Virgo Pisces axis in January of 2025. So that's going to be a very different kind of energy than the Aries Libra axis that we've been playing with. So the North Node is in Aries, and it's been asking us since July of 2023 to start making choices that are more aligned with our sovereign self. And the South Node that's been in Libra, that the solar eclipse is very active with, is asking us to leave behind any ways in that we relate that are not aligned with that sovereignty of self, with the health of the individual, with what's going to be supportive for your own hopes and dreams. This is a time to give up any kind of martyrdom or victimhood. And so we've been playing with that energy for it's been a minute. So since July of 2023, we've been playing with this energy of the sovereign self versus the collective, versus the community, the me versus we. And so with this solar eclipse, this is going to be a 6-month period where we are going to be seeing the culmination of all of those lessons and all of those challenges. And over the next 6 months, if not sooner, for some of us, we're going to make that final transition into what that looks like for us. Ultimately, this is a trial by, like I said, it's a trial by fire. So because of Mars is a fiery energy, plus the transformation, it's been pretty intense for a lot of folks. Really, for the last 18 months or so, it's been super intense for a lot of people. There's been losses of all kinds as we start shedding our old selves and stepping into this new version of ourselves that ultimately will be a lot freer. We will have more choice, more agency, and I think that overall we will be healthier individuals. But it's going to be a process. This next 6 months is a culmination. And Pluto is going to be, this is the last time it's going to be in Capricorn. This is the last eclipse that season that we will be experiencing with Pluto in Capricorn. And it starts going back, it starts to go direct on October 11th. And then it will station in Aquarius on November 19th, where it will station permanently. No more of this retrograding back into Capricorn and coming back in Aquarius. We've been hopscotching back and forth for a minute between Capricorn and Aquarius. And it honestly has been kind of a gift, because Pluto is such a big energy that defines our collective, and then that has a ripple effect to where it defines us individually. That it's been allowing us to acclimate to this, what's going to be coming next for us as a globe. It's been allowing us to acclimate into that a little bit more gracefully and a little bit more step by step. But the time of being in indecision is over. The time of procrastination is over. So when we had the lunar eclipse in Pisces, we got really, really clear on what it is that we truly need to do in order to make our hopes and dreams a reality. And now we are segueing into making a commitment to those changes that are needing to be made. So this is definitely making us take a look at our relationships, both intimately as well as our business relationship, because Libra is, Venus, we always think of like romantic love with Venus, but it's also about wealth. So we're going to be reanalyzing our relationship to how we make our living, to business in general, business partnerships, friendships, relationships of all kinds. And really what it comes down to with Libra and Aries kind of, facing off with that North Node and South Node, is it really comes down to a relationship with ourselves and how our external reality, how it either aligns with the kind of relationship with ourselves that we want to have, meaning the kind of life that we want to have, or it might be reflecting the disharmony, the out of alignment that might be there, where there are aspects of our life and different relationships that are not supporting us, that are not necessarily healthy, and that need to change. This particular eclipse is not a good time to be starting a new relationship. I would say that with Black Moon Lilith as active as she is, and she's bringing up a lot of like the fears, the shadows, and the subconscious stuff where we're not really able to ignore it anymore. Any kind of new relationships started around this time are probably going to be more based on a trauma bond than actual love. However, for relationships that are existing, both business, romantic, friendships, otherwise, this is a really great time to reanalyze those current relationships. So if you're looking for a committed relationship, something that is going to last a while, and you're dating, if I were dating right now, I would just put my dating app on a pause, because like this is not an optimum energy to be starting a new relationship. Same thing goes for business. I would caution against going into new contracts, new business partnerships, and things of that nature around this time too. But I would go back and reanalyze, restructure, renegotiate terms for any kind of the relationships that we have, romantically, business, professional, whatever it is. So this is a really good time to revamp relationships that we have, but it's not the greatest time to be starting new ones. Also, the relationship that we might want to take a look at is with our relationship with finances in general. So if we have not the greatest relationship with money, if we have, money is evil, or, rich people are automatically bad or shouldn't be trusted, that kind of thing. If we have fears around wealth and success and things of that nature, this would be a really good time to reanalyze that and see where they're really coming from. Are we getting in our own way with some of these beliefs? And as far as like friendships and relationships with family and loved ones, we're going to be reassessing the concept of boundaries. So this is definitely going to be a time where we might be analyzing the difference between service and sacrifice, between enabling and support, between love and codependency. Like these are going to be, this is a time where we can really refine our discernment as to what those polarities look like that oftentimes can get really easily confused. So there's also a Sesqui square with this eclipse with Uranus in Taurus. So Mars is in the middle and it's playing referee between fear and faith. And then we have a Sesqui square with Uranus, which is kind of like this intense kind of just do it kind of energy. So this energy with Mars, it can definitely be very agitating. So if we allow ourselves to capitulate to fear or or even like sadness or anger, those type of things could allow us to be very impetuous and to make really rash decisions that we might regret later. But Mars can also be channeled to channel our passions and our courage. What I'm seeing is like this swirling vortex around us, and of all of these different parts, right? And it feels very chaotic, but it's like within the midst of that, we can focus on the one thing that we need to get to and to cut through all of that chaos in order to be able to stay in equilibrium. When I was a little girl, I was made to take ballet classes. I didn't really like ballet classes, to be honest, but it was something that I guess other people thought I needed to learn. And the one thing that it was actually very helpful was when you're spinning, you always chose a point in front of you and you would turn and look at that point as you spun in order to not get dizzy. And it's like that. Focus on what it is that you want. Focus on that North Node trajectory that has been brewing since July of 2023. Any challenges or any issues that are coming up to the surface, probably on some level, they're not going to necessarily surprise us. These are probably things that have been brewing, at least in the background, if not really active in our lives for a while. But it's like that final death throw where it's just time for it to just go. And so if we can stay focused, not on what it is that we have lost, but what it is that we're moving towards, then we can take the lemons that we feel like we've been given and make lemonade from it. It's very 5 of Cups in tarot energy, where not focusing so much on what it is that's been lost, but focusing more on what it is that you're moving towards, because every new beginning has an end. The grand trine of Mars and Venus in Scorpio and Saturn in Pisces, Mars is in Cancer, of course, like I said. This is all water. It's all water. And Saturn is about karma, Venus is about relationships and wealth, and Mars is about gusto, passion. It's what creates action, and it's all in these deep waters of our emotions, our psyche, and our dreams, our creativity. And so it's telling us that we're ready. We're ready. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but it's not impossible. So I, for one, would like to see what more we can get from the tarot just to get some more individualized support. What is it that we need to know or do to make the most of this solar eclipse that happens on October 2nd, 2024 in Libra? What do we need to know? And for those of you who are watching, if you set the intention that like whatever message is coming through with these cards, that the one that is really specific to you is going to stand out, that you'll just know like, oh yeah, that part's for me. What do we need to know or do? Something's coming to my mind. I will bring it up here shortly. Okay, so okay. All right, first card we have is Page of Swords. This is about clarity. I think this has to do with Mercury. Haven't talked a whole lot about his influence with this, but with Mercury being in the mix with this eclipse, Mercury is going to be giving us that mental clarity that is needed in order to have that discernment that I talked about. And so what we're part of this discernment, and because the page is about new beginnings, so what she is moving towards and what I see her kind of like cutting through with her sword of discernment is these two cards that came up together. And when cards come up together, I look at them as like they're one card. So we have the Hierophant, which is about structures and organization. And then we have the Six of Pentacles, which it's in this case it's reverse, which is about generosity, reciprocation, and like when it's right side up, everybody's getting taken care of, everybody's like getting their just rewards, and everybody's working together, and it's a generous kind of energy. It feels good. But when it's in reverse, it means not everybody's getting their fair shake. What we're being asked to discern is, do we want to stick with this traditional approach that really isn't giving us what it is that we're needing? Like the community is not supporting us in the way that we need support. And this could be your family, this could be friendships, this could be your community at large. It might even require that some of us move to a different city in certain cases if the neighborhood that you're in just is not conducive to the kind of life that you want to live. Like, or are we wanting to stay the course? You know, are we wanting to stick with the existing structures? And the next two cards that come up give us a sneak peek into the answer to that, and then what the resolution will be. King of Wands, and then we have the Five of Wands reversed. King of Wands, when he's in his reversal, he's like the shadow side of Mars. So Mars, the shadow side of it is war and aggression. In its positive side, it's passion, it's action, and it's courage. But when it's reversal, he's kind of a jerk, like big time jerk, like explosive jerk. And so we are being faced with the shadowy side of Mars, which then is creating this internal conflict. When the Five of Wands is reversed, it's more about internal conflict than it is about conflict, external conflict or fights that we're having. But I would say that with this eclipse, like throughout the rest of the month, just be really, really careful of your temper. You know, think before you speak, think before you act. Try to take a few breaths and stay regulated when you make your decisions. Because if we start letting ourselves get rattled, we might end up making some errors. We might end up making some mistakes. But this internal conflict that we're feeling is in response to, we need to listen to our intuition. So like something that's coming to me around the King of Wands is that we may have even like gaslighted ourselves or been gaslighted by whoever this is represented to you, where it's like we've been questioning whether or not it's really as bad as we think. Really, is it necessary to rock the boat? You know, like, did I misunderstand that person? Maybe they don't really mean it that way. And it's always good to get clarity, you know, ask for clarity. But the cards are saying that we really need to lean into our own inner knowing. If you know that a particular situation, place, or person is not good for you, then you know, and that leaning into that is going to lead to justice. Justice is about balance, work-life balance, legal balance, fairness. It's the just reward. And I think with the Five of Wands, some of us may have stuffed down some anger, but if we are channeling that anger internally, and so in order to quote unquote keep the peace, it's not really peace. So forgiveness is an overarching thing, and I know that that word is like triggering for a lot of folks because there are things that people do to other people that are just absolutely uncondonable. But what I mean by that is not condoning actions that are uncondonable. I don't mean giving somebody a free pass, or even necessarily continuing a relationship with somebody who is toxic or abusive. What I mean by forgiveness is a stoic cutting of energy between you and them, where what theirs is theirs and what's yours is yours. It's really about getting a refund on your cares. And if you are investing more energy into a particular situation than someone else, then that's not a good investment of your energy. So, and even if you have tossed this person out of your life, if it's something that's still ruminating, something that's still heavy on your chest and in your heart, then chances are is that your system is telling you that there's an opportunity there to really truly free yourself from being bound to this past situation, to this perhaps traumatic event that is still keeping you enslaved to the past. Forgiveness is not about condoning uncondolable behavior. It's about freedom. It's about cutting those cords that are keeping us entwined in continuing to be that person or that situation's victim. The Justice card is saying it's time to cut those cords, and it's time to free ourselves from the past. It's time to free ourselves from relating to the past and relating to particular people or situations that are only going to be like a ball and chain behind us if we truly want to move in the direction of freedom, sovereignty, and health. So this is a really big deal. This energy is going to bring us well into 2025. If we've been burying our heads in the sand at all, this is an important time to get our heads up and heads on. Like, let's not ignore the things that need to be attended to. Let's start seeing things exactly as they are, not as we wish them to be, but keep our wits about us. And so if we can maintain emotional equilibrium and be able to focus on that spot that we want to move towards and not get swept up in all of the chaos, and I'm going to say this is also for the media because I think we're going to be hearing some things over the next month that are going to, I think, intentionally try to scare us. Just put those, just focus on what it is that you need to focus on in your particular life and move towards that, and the rest will fall in place. If we really truly want to live lives of freedom, then it's something that we have to fortify over and over again. And Mars is teaching us how to do that. Mars is our teacher. All right, guys. Well, I wish all of you many blessings this eclipse season, many blessings with this Pluto transiting season, and I will see you back here in a couple weeks where we're going to take a look at this next full moon that's going to be coming up in the middle of the month. Many blessings. Bye-bye.